Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to tackle a topic that honestly makes so many new traders instantly want to close out their browser tab. I'm talking about the dreaded position sizing formula. But hey, if you're a focused learner looking to truly understand how to manage your risk without getting completely bogged down in complicated math, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to make this incredibly simple. So let's dive right in. So why does this topic cause so much anxiety? Well, when you see the math written out, it looks super intimidating, right? It kind of triggers that classic math anxiety for a lot of folks. But here's the reality check. Getting this wrong is literally the #1 reason traders blow their prop firm challenges. They have terrible risk management, not because they're bad traders, but simply because they don't know how to size their positions correctly. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the position sizing problem. Then, breaking down the formula, mastering pips, checking out some forex and gold examples. And finally, the tools for building automatic habits. All right, part 1, the position sizing problem. So why do we even need a formula in the first place? Well, we absolutely need a structured approach to risk so that every single trade is calculated and controlled. Now, I want to pause right here and reassure you, you do not need to be good at math. Seriously, once you break this formula into pieces, it's genuinely simple. Think of it like organizing 3D toy building blocks rather than, solving complex calculus. You just need to understand what each number represents and where to find it. And here is our magic weapon. This is the whole shebang. One formula, 4 inputs. Lot size equals account balance times risk percentage divided by stop pips times pip value. This single formula solves the problem of position sizing for literally any trade you'll ever take. Moving on to part 2, breaking down the formula. Now we're going to pull the engine apart piece by piece so you can see exactly how it ticks. First up, account balance. This is the simplest one. It's exactly what your account shows right now when you log in. Not what you started with, not your initial deposit, the actual current number. If you're sitting at $97,200 after a rough week, use $97,200. You've got to update this number every single session. Next is risk percentage, which is just how much of your account you're willing to lose on this specific trade. Then we have stop pips. This is just the distance between your entry price and your stop loss. The crucial point here is that you determine this number straight from your chart. Your strategy dictates where the stop goes, not your emotions. You place your stop where the market structure requires it and then use this formula to fit the lot size to the stop. Let's circle back to that risk percentage input for a second. 1%. In prop firm challenges, your risk really needs to be between 0.5% and 1%. That is the absolute professional standard for surviving strict 10% maximum drawdown constraints. I know a lot of retail traders out there will risk 2% or 3% because they don't have hard rules, but prop challenges, totally different beast. And this completely illustrates why. Just look at the stark difference in these numbers. If you've got a strict 10% maximum drawdown rule and you risk 1% per trade, you get 10 consecutive losses before you even come close to breaching your account. But if you push that to 2%, you only get 5 losses. At 3% risk, just 3 losses and you are out. Prop challenges are definitely not the place for high-risk percentages. Keep it locked at 1% and focus on quality setups. To put that into perspective, for a $100,000 account, 1% is $1,000. That right there is your maximum acceptable loss. All right, part 3, mastering pips and value. We're moving to the fourth and honestly probably the most intimidating input of our formula, the pip value. This is where traders usually get tripped up, but we're going to completely demystify it right now. Think of a pip simply as a single unit of measurement, kind of like an inch on a ruler, but for price. Pip value is literally just how much money you make or lose for every 1 pip tick in price per standard lot. It just represents the actual cash value of market movement. For instance, if you hold 1 standard lot of EUR/USD and price moves 10 pips in your favor, you make $100. If it moves 10 pips against you, you lose $100. Simple as that. Now, what's kind of cool here is when we compare different pairs. For most major forex pairs priced in US dollars, like EUR/USD or GBP/USD, the pip value is right around $10 per pip per standard lot. Over on the right, you'll see JPY pairs, like USD/JPY. Here, 1 pip is 0.01, not 0.0001 like the others. But the crazy thing is, the math works out so the pip value per lot is still roughly $9 to $10, depending on the current exchange rate. So for most calculations we do, establishing a general $10 baseline makes our math incredibly straightforward. Let's move to part 4, forex examples for EUR and GBP. Okay, it is time for the test drive phase.
We're going to apply these building blocks to real-world examples step by step. Let's look at a Euro USD long trade. Step 1, we've got a $100,000 account and we're using our standard 1% risk. That gives us a risk amount of $1,000. Step 2, our pit value for Euro USD is $10 per lot. Step 3, we check out our chart and see that the market structure requires a 20 pip stop loss. So we plug the whole thing into the formula. $1,000 divided by our 20 pips times $10, that leaves us with $1,000 divided by 200. And boom, there's your answer, 5 standard lots. Look how incredibly clean and simple that is. You take 5 standard lots, and if the price drops 20 pips to hit your stop loss, you lose exactly $1,000. No more, no less. Now, let's see what happens when the chart changes. This time, we're trading GBP/USD. We've got the same account size, same 1% risk of $1,000. Pip value is still $10 per lot. But this time around, the market structure requires a wider 30 pip stop. We plug that into our formula. $1,000 divided by 30 pips times $10. That's $1,000 divided by 300, which gives us 3.33.
Actually, stop right there, because this is an absolutely critical rule you need to memorize. Always round down, never round up. If you got 3.33, you might be super tempted to round up to 3.4. But rounding up secretly increases your risk just above the 1% you originally intended, and we want to preserve capital at all costs. So, our final, properly rounded lot size for GBP USD is exactly 3.3 lots. Notice what happened here. The wider 30 pip stop logically shrank our lot size down from 5 to 3.3. But the total risk amount? It's still exactly $1,000. The formula is working perfectly to protect your account.
Moving on to part 5, the gold exception.
All right, we're transitioning to the final boss level now. Gold has a slight twist to it, but don't worry, it uses the exact same formula blocks we've already mastered. Now, gold is heavily volatile, so we're going to use a much smaller 0.5% risk for this example. On our $100,000 account, that means we're risking $500. Here's the catch, though. Gold pip values actually vary by broker. Most brokers price gold to 2 decimal places, so you absolutely must check your specific broker's contract specs. But for this example, let's just use a very typical pip value, $1 per pip per 0.01 lot. Let's say your chart needs a 25 pip stop. Plug it in, $500 divided by 25 pips times $1. That's $500 divided by 25.
And the math gives us exactly 20. That means 20 mini lots, which is 0.20 standard lots. See? You can now confidently calculate risk on even the trickiest commodities. If gold moves 25 pips against you, you lose exactly $500, which is perfectly 0.5% of your account.
Finally, part 6, tools for automatic habits.
Now that you completely understand the mechanics, I want to give you the actual tools to implement this math in under 60 seconds every single day. You don't have to do this on a scratch pad anymore. There are 2 really great free options. On the one hand, we've got Google Sheets. This is the DIY option. You build a simple spreadsheet with inputs for balance, risk percentage, and stop pips, and just one formula cell that spits out the lot size. It takes maybe 20 minutes to set up, but then it's fully custom. On the other hand is the MyFXBook Position Size Calculator. It's totally free, web-based, and literally requires 0 setup. You just type in the numbers and go. Honestly, it doesn't even matter which one you pick, just that you actually use it. Because calculating every single trade is a non-negotiable habit. It's not an optional step. The traders who survive and pass prop firm challenges, they don't sit around evaluating whether a trade is worth calculating. They calculate every trade by default. It's not conditional on trade size or how confident you feel or time pressure. When you make it non-negotiable, just like brushing your teeth before bed, the formula becomes totally automatic. The real goal here isn't just mastering the math. The goal is making the habit so deeply ingrained that it never even occurs to you to skip it. So, are you ready to finally treat your trading like a professional business? Taking control of your risk through position sizing is step number 1 to consistent longevity in the markets. And hey, if you want the complete system I use, including templates and calculators, check out the Funded Trader Blueprint linked below.